Absolutely. The headlines right here. Odenigbo 99.1 FM is on Wednesday morning. We're sure keeping tabs on developments in and around the country, trying as much as possible to make sense of them, specifically today on Anambra State. And of course, we'll be talking about campaign controversies, money, mobilization, and democracy in Anambra. Campaign controversies, money, mobilization, and democracy in Anambra. Only just about 10 days to the much anticipated governorship election in Anambra State. Preparations are in top gear by both the electoral body, INEC, and political parties. The Independent National Electoral Commission recently told us that it is 99% ready for the November 8 election, having deployed 24,000 ad hoc staff across 5,718 polling units. Meanwhile, as the Commission and the gladiators, that is, political parties and candidates, have been intensifying their campaigns, the race has not been without a share of controversies. First of all, observers were treated to the campaign jabs involving key figures like Governor Chukwuma Soludo, Senator Uche Ekwinife, who is the APC deputy governorship candidate in the election, First Lady Mrs. Noye Soludo, and others over academic records and moral integrity. Now, more controversies have emerged with the recent monetary reward towards delivering victories for the All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA. According to reports, Governor Soludo, during the party's campaign rally last Saturday in Umunze, Anambra South local government area of the state, said, and I quote, "For November 8th, any ward that wins again will receive 1 million naira, while the first three performing wards will get 5 million naira, 2 million naira, and 1 million naira respectively," end quote. The announcement has since generated widespread criticism and allegations of vote buying, even as the party tries to debunk the report. So in today's discussion segment, we seek clarity on this development, look at the implications on the electoral process and democratic integrity in Anambra State. My name is Njideka, Favor Gilbert, co-anchor is here, and of course our analyst Nelson Wee is also here. Joining us to provide that clarity on the recent controversies and other issues pertaining to the November 8 governorship election is Mazi Ejimofor Opara, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA. And of course, he joins us via the phone line. Good morning, Mazi. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Njideka, and good morning, listeners. It's a pleasure having you here.
Indeed, it's a pleasure because we gave you a short notice and you agreed to speak to us to talk about the goings on in the election. You say you're going to be quite busy today. You have about two rallies, one in Ekwisigo and one other place. So how has the campaign been going so far?
Well, so far so good. I've always said it in other media appearances I've had in this season that it's actually a no contest. The only reason why it feels like a contest is because it's a democracy. And of course, people just have to jostle, everybody has the right to his ambition or has the right to aspire. But when you look at the crux of the matter, which borders on the qualification, the competence and capability to actually, lead an A state like Anambra, it appears like Governor Soludo is in a contest against his own self. So, because we don't really see who the contenders are, even though we are, going out seeking for all the votes, campaigning as though we were the underdogs. So we actually don't see the contenders in the first place. We don't know what to see. But so far, so good. The reception has been very high. Unprecedented events have been happening in the state. Beyond the balls and negativity that the opposition is trying to bring into the play, of course, knowing that they hold the shorter end of the stick. So they've resorted to a lot of mudslinging, name calling, non-issues, and if you like, inanities. But we are focused on the objective, which of course is delivering on our mandate in the Anambra and giving them reasons why they should re-elect us for a second term in office. And like I wanted to say, on the unprecedented things happening, for the first time in the history of the state, we have seen the people coming out to own the process. And after the last check, I think I've actually gone out of count in terms of communities, individuals, groups mobilizing support for the incumbent. We have not seen this group before. As of today, we have over 50 more groups and individuals who are on the queue waiting with their own resources to say, just give us a date to come and hand it in. So it's never been fixed before. So people are coming out by the day, investing their own money into the process. So it only tells you one thing, that they have not only experienced good governance, but it has become a part of their daily existence. So that's exactly where we are. And for me, I believe it can only get better.
Well, part of the support is also generating controversy. I think there are two parts to this controversy. One of which you mentioned. The other is a statement credited to the governor when he was campaigning at Umunze. But the one you touched, first of all, let's look at it. The fact that communities are contributing the resources for the governor ahead of the campaign. A number of persons have actually alleged that the communities are being forced to make these contributions through their leaders. Please, can you really expatiate more when it comes to those allegations, even though you had hinted that they're doing it willingly without any coercion, as it were?
Yeah. Okay. The allegations as to which of them, because
the communities, willingly donating the resources. You talked about they willingly donating. Some people have alleged that they are being forced. They are saying they must deliver or donate their resources. Many communities in their millions, 50 million, 20 million. And some people are asking, okay, where is this money coming from? All right. So are people willingly donating this? Or are they forced to donate?
Yes. Okay, no, they are willingly donating, because as of today, there's nobody who would come up and say that they have been forced to donate a kobo to the campaign organization of Governor Chukwuma Soludo. So what we have seen, like I told you, is that this has become a people's movement. It's no longer about nobody is coercing anybody, and if anybody is saying that they have been coerced by any stretch of the imagination, then I wonder who that person is. Because, like I told you, there are over 50 groups and individuals that are still jostling for dates just to hand in their own donations. So if it's a coercion, then of course it has just been something, maybe a deadline, a time that says if you don't do it, then there's a penalty, or there's this, or there's that. This is just willing. If you come, the list is open. It's an open document. If you approach the campaign council of Chukwuma Soludo, they will hand you the list. They will hand over the list to you. So you can make your independent verification and do your own fact check on whatever claim anybody is making. For me, like I told you, that the opposition has started to mudslinging, they've started to inanities because they don't have anything in terms of issue based to tackle the they have nothing to really present. And that is why it's looking like it's a contest against ourselves, because the party is, like APGA is a religion in Anambra State. Every family in Anambra has at least one APGA member, if not members. So it is difficult for you to want to support such a party, especially where they have provided quality leadership and have over the years, taking development in Anambra State from one positive stride to another. So it's difficult to support such a party, and that is why we have become more or less like a behemoth in Anambra. So you can't. How do I put it? You are here in Anambra, you can testify for yourself.
Well, I'm just wondering whether this is like a copycat thing going on, because some people would say that when it comes to these donations, people would like to measure it with what the people are benefiting from the government. Just like some people would say Nigerians don't pay tax because they don't see the evidence of tax. And so when you say maybe the people are embracing the governor and supporting him because of attestation to the good work, aren't there communities that have been left unattended to in terms of dividends of democracy? And you want to ask, is it every community in Anambra State that is satisfied with the developmental strides of the government or the governance itself in the state to warrant them donating willingly?
Okay, now let me tell you, there's never going to be a time in the world where everyone will be satisfied with leadership, or everyone would get what is due them in terms of resource distribution, or in terms of good governance, or in terms of even within the family circle. Even within the family circle, if you come within the family, there are still people, no matter what you do, they will tell you, I have wants or I have needs that have not been met. But that said, what you must understand is that as much as possible, development has been widespread, evenly widespread across the state. And there are some that touches every family, touches every home, touches every individual in the state. For instance, today in Anambra State, the families in Anambra enjoy qualitative free education across public schools in the state. Now, you may not be able to measure probably the expectation of families vis-a-vis what they are paying or what they are not paying in terms of the kind of benefits that they derive from, that they are maximizing from sending their kids to public schools with quality teachers for free. For instance, you cannot tell me that the people are not enjoying the benefits of free delivery and free antenatal for pregnant women across the state. You cannot tell me that the ongoing infrastructural transformation happening in every nook and cranny of the state in terms of roads, in terms of building bridges, in terms of raising key infrastructure to drive development, that people in the state are not seeing this. There is no local government in Anambra today that does not have the imprint of Governor Chukwuma Soludo's developmental pride. So you cannot justifiably argue that communities have not gotten a fair share or gotten a share at all of good governance as to incite in them the need and the desire to give back. So the taxpayers in Anambra are seeing their tax at work. People have come out to testify that for the very first time they are seeing tangible evidence that shows that there is a government in power. So these are things you cannot wish away. So however they intend to express that appreciation to the government or express appreciation to leadership is something that you and I cannot control. So if they are showing this appreciation in the form of saying, Mr. Governor, you've done well, and enough for you to continue to do well, we are giving you this amount or giving you this support. Let me tell you, most people think that this support is coming in terms of money alone. But let's talk you with what happened at Ayamelum. We got to Ayamelum. Okay. And what they gave the governor was just almost a truckload of food items, from bags of rice to plantain, okra, different. Now, this application is not just in monetary form. It's also coming in various other ways. There are communities that even told the governor, don't come and campaign here. Don't worry, we are mobilizing ourselves for you. So, but what people
the food items are supposed to serve what purpose?
I didn't get that, you said?
The food items, what purpose are they supposed to serve?
Like I said, it is just a case of appreciation. Are you getting the point? So, if I give you a gift, am I to determine the purpose of which you deploy the gift? So, if the governor has received a truckload of food items and he decides to commit it to charity or decides to commit it to maybe people who don't have, it's not in your place or my place to decide what he does with it. So, for whatever purpose he's going to serve, just understand that it is it's a token of their appreciation for the good work that they have observed and that they have experienced from the government and from the governor. And that's exactly what this represents in terms of the resources that have been mobilized in support of the governor. It's exactly what they represent to us. For us, it is beyond the money. It is symbolic. And what it symbolizes is that for the very first time, there is a high level of appreciation, a high level of acceptance that indeed government is working. That's the symbolism for us.
All right. Good morning, Mazi.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Well, you've said quite a number of things, and number one I picked was the fact that you are seeing this as this governorship election as that there is no competition with APGA and then other political parties. So I'm wondering, if there is no competition, why then do the governor come up with the incentive of giving out 1 million naira for any word that in which APGA wins? That is number one. Why is there incentive if this is the people's mandate? Why do we have incentive for whichever word that APGA emerges as a winner? And of course, 5 million naira for the one with the highest number of voters. And then, of course, secondly, I have an issue with the fact that people are giving out monetary, gifts to the governor for campaign. It might be willing and it might be okay. They want to do it to support his mandate. But with the one that happened in Ogidi, there was flood. There was a case of flood in Ogidi. And then the governor came to sympathize with the people that are affected and all that. And also, it was also part of the campaign. But the people that are still mourning their losses, the properties they lost, ended up giving 50 million naira to the governor as part of their support. So what should we make of that? Given that he is supposed to be a messiah to them, and they are the ones, extending their helping hands to him.
Okay, well, you've asked your question. Your question is double-barreled, but let me try to make sense of the very first one that you asked, which has to do with. You said you have issues with that. If I say there is no competition, then why are we going all out campaigning, and why are we going all out incentivizing our support base? Telling them to go all out to mobilize votes. And see, this is a democracy. This is an election. As much as you understand that our opponents do not stand a chance in terms of, the actual sense of the word contest, we do not also want to take it for granted. So if you hear us speak to our members to say, go all out and mobilize and vote, that is because we want to avoid what the governor has called the complacency of the majority. You have a situation whereby people believe, yes, we are the ones on ground. There is no need to come out and vote. And because what's happening, those who you call the minority mobilize themselves and go to vote. And what exactly is election all about? Election is all about the simple majority. So if you go and you believe your party is the majority, therefore you have no need to vote. That day you sit at home, you don't want to go and vote because you believe that you guys have won already. If we all keep believing that we have won and nobody goes out to vote, then who wins at the end of the day? So, that question does not really, it's not that we are not seeing it as a contest, or we're not seeing those who are contesting against us, does not mean we shouldn't do what we should do. Like I said, it's a democracy. People have their right to aspire. People have the right to their ambition. We would not begrudge them for it. But as far as we are concerned, we are contesting this election as though we were the underdogs, even though we know that, it's more like an unfair thing, an unfair contest. We're not seeing those who are contesting with us. So, that said, going all out to incentivizing our members is simply for probably one or two reasons. Let me give you some context. If you look at Anambra State and you look at the history of voting in Anambra State, you realize that there is this phenomenon that has always been a problem with regard to elections in Anambra, and that is voter apathy. We have this very, if you like, uncomfortable or somewhat some level of voter apathy. Anambra in 2021 had about 2.7 million registered voters. But in deciding that election, the totality of vote cast, both for the winner and those and other contenders, were less than 10% of total, registered voters. You get it. So as a party, we have our mandate. We're looking forward to the 1 million mark mandate. We're looking forward to Governor Soludo winning with at least by 1 million votes and over. And we cannot do that by just holding our hands. If you understand the process of election, you understand that for the electoral act to permit for campaign funds, it means that there are legitimate expenses that a party must undertake at every point in time. And part of the legitimate expense includes and does not foreclose the fact that your party agents and canvassers must not engage in what you may actually define as a thankless job. The job of a party agent or the job of a party canvasser is not a thankless job. So liken it to a production assembly where someone has produced, a factory has a product that they have produced, and they now need to incentivize their marketers to go sell this product to others. And that's exactly what the party is doing by incentivizing its members to saying, if your word comes up in this process, there is a reward for you. If your local government comes up in this process, there is a reward for you. So at these values, basically, we are speaking to our members. And if you look at the import of vote buying, even as contemplated by the Electoral Act, it has to do with anything that you are going to give before or even during the election to induce voters to vote for you. That is why we're not giving any money to anybody. If you go to even places we call center clients, these campaign canvassers and even mobilizers are paid up front. But people say, no, we're not paying anybody. But we're saying that as a ward, as a local government, if you're able to mobilize your members, mobilize the people, both members and non-members, to come out in votes to actually increase voter participation, that is a reward for you. So anyone who is against this process, probably, in my own estimation, has something to benefit from voter apathy. There are people that voter apathy is in their informed best interest. But it's not in our informed best interest. We want to mobilize our strength as a party. We cannot walk like elephants and eat like ants. You got the point. So APGA has to show that strength that we are not just the party on ground, but we are the dominant party on ground. Then on the other question that you asked, if I remember clearly, I don't know.
The people who are experiencing hardship in terms of flooding, donating?
Now, I believe, much as we commiserate with the fact that flooding is a natural disaster, it's not, even though it has some trappings of man-made, man-made activities that incite it or that give rise to it, but it's largely a natural disaster and it's almost unforeseen. Now, if you don't expect the people who have mobilized themselves for a particular cause, and just because there is a natural disaster, you now want them to release or go back on it and say, oh, we're not doing it again. Especially for a disaster that the government has shown manifest interest at curtailing.
So they made a promise before the disaster.
Well, I don't think the 50 million was raised at the night before the governor's visit, before the governor's visit. I believe it's a long process because much of these monies that you will see communities raise, it's not just about individuals. There's this particular money, I think, to result to the campaign of the governor. I think by the parents who have thanked the governor for the free education that they have been enjoying. I think their money came down to 3,610,000 naira or something. So if you look at the way that money came down to, you realize that there were people that even considered like 30 naira, 50 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira to the pool. So you discover that it wasn't just a quick fix. So we communicate to the fact that yes, that flooding happened. It's a natural disaster. It could happen to anybody. It's just like saying that you've made your plans probably to do something very significant and something natural now happened, and you're saying, okay, because this has happened, I will not go on with my plans. Well, we're not in the shoes of the community. It's the fact that they have elected to say, yeah, we consider this money and we must give it regardless. We cannot stop them. So that's exactly it. But the overlying factor here is that there is no community or individual that has ever been coerced into donating into the campaign funds of Mr. Governor.
All right, if you've just joined us, we have been speaking to the APGA National Publicity Secretary, Mazi Ejimofor Opara. And of course, we have been speaking about the controversies generated by the recent announcement by the governor himself over monetary reward for party supporters at ward level. He's saying that a laborer deserves his wage, and so if at all they're going to mobilize people to come out and vote, they're going to be, needing some sort of support, which is what the governor said. And that support is going to happen after the election, not before the election, which makes a lot of difference from his own estimation. And of course, regarding some of the things that had happened in terms of donation from communities, he's saying they are willingly contributing as against being coerced to contribute. But let's quickly take a call from a caller before Nelson comes in with his question. Let's see whether we can hear from you, the caller, this morning. Good morning. Can you hear us? All right, go ahead.
You see, our problem in Nigeria is being educated to cajole, to young people, to bend issues, to bend situations. See how sweet it is the amount of this gentleman to turn lies to truth and propaganda into a real awareness. And we all know all these things. How does the people come about donating the money? Nobody told them that you needed money. That just people woke up to every local government, every PG, every leader in the community, in the market, as we heard, just woke up in the morning and found out that Chukwuma Soludo, the government is making money too. The government that is controlling billions of naira. Look at how you are talking to people. As you are promising people. You know, that's the problem why people go to steal. The people that went, the 419, local 419 group, they will tell them, promise them big pack of money. That if they go and bring 10,000 naira, they will get 200 billion naira. A promise. You call it a promise, and you are telling the people if they give this, and they will be given this, and the money in question, so there are some people that will get 1 million naira in this, in that, and they go any less to be able to do that. Listen, we always face this thing in future. This thing we are doing now, claiming that we are smart and educated. We will all steal this in time to come. Because
All right, let's keep it short and simple, Mudoji, so that you can respond.
Since I'm coming, listen. One thing you will understand that there is something nobody can do on earth. That is lying to yourself.
All right, let him respond quickly because we are out of time. Publicity Secretary, he thinks that the donation is being forced. How do you react to that?
For me, I wouldn't, trust me, I don't blame anybody. Like I said, this is unprecedented. And of course, these are the kind of first feelings like surprise that read this kind of novels. So people want, most people don't believe it is possible until it's on. And even
hello.
Governance is not just about we. It is us. It is about us. And in all rights and interest with the people. So the people who are, let me tell you, I'm not very surprised.
Publicity Secretary seems to be.
Listen to his inaugural speech. He has continued to refer to Anambra as his employer. You get it? So, if someone is your employer, then there are certain obligations or responsibilities that are exclusively within their, within their right to perform. So, Anambra has indeed come out in their numbers to prove that indeed they are the employers of, Professor Chukwuma Soludo. And the fact, I insist and I want to reiterate, that the fact that they are donating their money, their resources, their time to, advancing his re-election bid can only be explained by one thing, that they have experienced good governance in a way they never thought possible. And that's it. This is a state that has existed for 34 years without a particular government and governor clause. And a governor has, under 2 years of his administration, broken that deal. This is a government that has done what most governments do at the twilight of their exit. In the first 9 months of the administration, he employed 8,115 teachers, qualified teachers, through the most competitive means ever, and deployed them to public schools. That today, we now have an Anambra State public education that is now the best nationally. At least the news is everywhere that Wally Comedy School in Onika, a public school, is the best school in Nigeria, and the 25 just concluded presidential award for schools and teachers. Someone did it. This is a state where we now have over 170,000 women enjoying the free antenatal and free delivery, including cesarean session. You know how much it is to conduct a 2 years now. This is what government has done apparently for free to the people. And you think these people will not be surprised? I will not motivated enough to say we want to give back to this government? This is a state. Remember, Anambra is one state that the governor has always argued that Anambra is very difficult to govern, but very easy to mobilize. It is in this way that we have seen individual star roles that government should start, and they are still doing it. So, who is expressing this surprise that people can come together to mobilize resources to give to government to say, go, we're fighting your re-election, haven't done well, we want to do better. So for me, I understand the surprise, but I am only trying to make sure that it is not a rule, it is not coerced, and it is not even choreographed. Right. It took a natural life and has become a trend that we ourselves can no longer control.
All right.
Mazi, fantastic one there. Just a quick question for you. I just want to find out the morality around the fact that if this report is true anyway, that the governor, the form was bought for him by students, and it's just around about 30 million naira. So what is the morality around students buying the form for the governor?
This is not the first time these students are buying for. In fact, let me tell you, it dates back to
30 million naira students.
Almost 30 million naira students.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have that figure with me. I don't know where you got that 30 million students. The 30 million naira that donation that happened this week was from Onika North, National stakeholders and people. Then the OYC, the Onitsha Youth Congress, donated 500,000 naira.
I'm talking about the nomination form.
The nomination form. No, yeah. The students donated 2 million to the nomination form. 10 million was donated by Anambra paper. Then the support group, the association of the all Soludo support group came up with about 10 million to 15 million naira in terms of, so there is nowhere you would find in our record where students donated 30 million naira. No. I think the highest so far is 2 million. And that's by NANS and some other allied student bodies.
But the students even coming into the political space is a bit concerning, given the fact that some of them might not be financially endowed to the extent of making such donations, whether it's 2 million or 1 million. But some of the things that you had said, which is putting clarity as to who is supposed to get 1 million naira in the words, you clarified that it's party agents, if I get it correctly, who are party members.
Yes. And canvassers.
Okay. So I'm wondering the nature of this mobilization, given there are other things that lead to voter apathy in the different wards and polling units, including insecurity, including lack of faith in the system. So I'm wondering, if the party agents go to mobilize, how are they supposed to convince the people if the people do not get a share of the money themselves? How are they supposed to convince people that things okay for them to come out and vote? What are they supposed to say to the people?
Okay, let me go back to your first. I think was it Nelson that asked the question on the morality of students raising funds and participating in the campaign process.
Right.
First of all, the crafters of our laws, if they consider it morally inappropriate for students to be part of the political process, then our age of liability and participation in politics wouldn't be 18. I'm not communicating. If it was morally unjust or morally unnecessary for students to be part of the political process, then I'm very sure that in crafting the Constitution and in deciding the age of liability and the age of qualification to, be part of the political process, I'm not sure they would have made it 18. They would have probably made it 30. So who would have known that at 30.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it from. Hold on a moment, Mazi. Let's look at it from the perspective of the kind of society that we're in. We know at that age, students are not that financially endowed.
We are in that made the law. I want to understand this. Let's not when there's a law that gets the process. It is not necessary. It becomes our personal adumbrations when we begin to make impute as to why not? No. As a matter of fact, if a thief is caught today, there are people who would sympathize with the thief and say, oh, if the thief had not been hungry, would they have stolen? Say the law is straight. It doesn't matter what influence or determines the decision to steal him. What's important to the law is that he has stolen, and if the person he has stolen is a thief. So it's almost a non-issue for you to be able to say that we are in 18. The law has said from 18 and above, you are eligible to participate in the political process. And that is it. It is a country where we have had 26-year-olds become elected members. And there are still 26-year-olds who are still investing, maybe doing master's program or doing their undergraduate and all that. So let's not bring those issues of morality because they don't actually play out here.
Right.
But what's important here is that students mobilize themselves, not one student, not three, not four, in their numbers. In their numbers, maybe totaling thousands and if not millions, mobilize themselves to raise this money. And they raise it as their own donation to encouraging a leadership that is working. For me, there's no issue of moral, whatever it is. Then the other bit of the question that you asked with regard to...
How are they supposed to mobilize the people to come out and vote?
Now, the way they are supposed to mobilize, I'll only give you this. I'm not going to other details. First of all, you understand that elections go down to 1/10, and that is vote. So, if you're going for elections, the only thing you should anticipate is vote, and anything you would do to reach to the voter, legitimately within the aspect of the law, is permissible. So, we have not done anything extrajudicial or beyond the law. Everything we are doing is within the law. But you wouldn't have me on air telling you our strategic action plan as to how we intend to gather people to come out to that day to vote. What I'm only telling you that I am, with the kind of strategy we have and with what I'm seeing on ground, Anambra is well on its way to hitting the 1 million voter mark in this election. Because every other conditions have been held constant. In terms of security, everyone in the state has seen there is a significant and massive improvement in security of the state. There are areas in the state that before now it was unthinkable. You can't even imagine anyone going there, let alone going to campaign. In 2021, no party campaigned in Iyala. But just last week, we held a massive campaign rally in Iyala. And the footages are there in the media for you to see that life has returned back to all those areas that were hitherto under the control of those we call the unknown government. And remember that there was a by-election that was held on August 15, 2025 at Anambra South. Now, go and read the INEC report on that election. INEC reported that elections held in all the 118 wards in Anambra South. So, the place was as insecure as people are saying it or wanting us to believe. And I'm sure that INEC themselves wouldn't push their staff into harm's way. They would say, no, you can't go here, you can't hold elections here. But INEC said elections held in all the 118 wards.
All right. Let's see what the mobilizers do to convince people with the claim being made here and there as regards security. But finally, I don't know, because some parties are threatening to write to INEC, to write to police based on this announcement by the governor. I don't know if what your party understands by the section of the Electoral Act that talks about bribery and conspiracy. That's a particular section 121 also talks about directly or indirectly promising or trying to give persons some sort of money for election, and that doesn't just mean voters. It also means people who are promised to procure votes, including the party agents themselves.
Like I said, when you use the word, there's no you just putting the word in this entire process. It does not answer the question and does not able to represent the percent of the competitiveness that the government is giving to the party. And I said it here without mentioning words that we are speaking to our party members who we are encouraging or incentivizing to go all out and mobilize votes. We are not buying votes.
That's what I'm saying. Does your party understand Section 121? It's not just about voters, it's also about people who are promised to procure votes.
Section 121 does not contemplate the job of the party agent or party canvasser to be a thankless man. Section 121 does not dictate the fact that every election must have campaign funds. So if there be campaign funds, what are those liquid campaign expenses that that fund can be put to?
Right.
These are things that we ask ourselves. So it's not about saying that Section 121, like I said, you understand what vote buying is. And even within the context of vote buying, we know the parties that are synonymous with vote buying in Anambra. When it comes to APGA, you cannot put APGA and vote buying in the same sentence. Because like I said, the people of Anambra are sentimentally attached to APGA. For them, APGA is a religion. So it's not something that you have to coerce them or you have to pay them before you experience, before you get their support. It comes free. So I said somewhere in one of my media appearances that even if the government, even if as a party you don't please voters in this election, you still win massively.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Completely out of time. We have been speaking with Mazi Ejimofor Opara, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, putting clarity to that announcement by the governor at Umunze. Thank you. We'll see what opposition parties do with this particular announcement and whether it will lead us to clarifying what Section 121 says about vote buying and the rest of it. Thank you, Mazi. And of course, good luck with the campaigns today.
Thank you very much, Njideka, for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you, Njideka.
All right, that would be all as far as the Breakfast Hour is concerned today. The Publicity Secretary maintaining his stance in terms of curing voter apathy. And so I want to appreciate everybody who joined the conversation And the conversation will continue tomorrow. Till then, my name is Njideka. See you again.
And I am Favor Gilbert. Thank you for listening.